Great, so welcome to this open event or open evening for the MSc in International Relations. My name is Mette Eidstrup San Giovanni, and I'm a professor of international relations here in the Department of Politics and International Studies. I'm the incoming director of the MSc program. I'm taking over from Professor Julie Smith and Dr. Roxanne Farmer-Famarian, who have been directing the program, I think we decided since 2016, and have obviously therefore seen it through the last 3 years of a very difficult period of the pandemic to great success. So let me start with the most important information. After we finish here, there will be a drinks reception just outside, and that will be attended by loads of current students on the program. So you're warmly invited to stick around to mingle with them, and hopefully that should be a really nice opportunity for you to get to ask all the questions and get the information that you really want straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. In the room here, we also have a number of people who should be useful to you, not least the two current directors who know everything about the program. Professor Jason Sharman, who will be in charge of admissions. So to come here at all, you've got to get past this guy, so you definitely want to talk to him. And also Carsten Schultz, who will be examiner for the program. So you've also potentially got to get past him at some point. And at the end, we will have Q&A, so you will get to ask all the questions that you still have. Before I introduce the course, I just want to explain a minor technical detail, which is that the current and previous cohorts of the MSc in International Relations were admitted to the course through something called the Cambridge Institute of Continuing Education, or ICE for short, which administered the program, whereas this department, POLIS, as we call it, the Department of Politics and International Studies, delivered all the teaching and all the sort of academic interaction and so on. In the future, the course will be solely run by POLIS, so we'll do all the administration, teaching, examining, and so on. The course structure, the content, the style of teaching will remain entirely unchanged. So from students' perspective, the change will probably be imperceptible, but I mention it just to avoid any confusion when you chat to people later on, or if you come across, God forbid, outdated websites that will mention ICE and then think this is kind of confusing because I thought I was applying to POLIS. If you do apply to the course, you will be applying to the course as run by POLIS. Right, so what is the MSc in International Relations? Well, it's a 2-year part-time degree course, which is designed for people who are in a professional position, that have a professional career that they're pursuing and want to do that alongside teaching. So it's therefore a part-time study or degree program. Part-time doesn't mean Cambridge Light. If you do join this course, you'll be working every bit as hard as a full-time MPhil student in our department, but just spreading the burden over 2 years rather than 1, so that you can continue with your professional career while studying. So the next course, the next 2-year period, will run from September 18, I think it is, 2023, we're not that foresighted, until the 20th of June, 2025. All the finer details, all the dates, all the fine print, all the fees and deadlines and all that, you can find all that online. So I'll stick to just explaining the sort of broad outlines of the course. The teaching will all take place right here in this building. It will be a mixture of lectures and seminars. I'll say a little bit more about that in a minute. But unlike our sort of regular, if you will, full-time master's and MPhil students who will be coming in for lectures and seminars on a weekly basis, the MST as a part-time degree will be taught in intensive residential blocks, where you come to Cambridge from wherever you might live, and students on the course live literally all over the world, live and work all over the world, as you'll discover, and spend roughly a week, 5 to 6 days in each residential period. I think Julie and Roxanne will correct me if I get that wrong. Attending lectures, seminars, presentations, also meeting with your individual supervisors. So those residential periods will be super intense, and you'll come away from them with lots of new information and lots of food for thought and lots of assignments to work on as well. During the residential periods, you'll be living in college. So you'll be assigned to Cambridge College. That's where you will eat, sleep, and attend social events. That's where you'll meet students and professors from all over the university. In short, that is what will give you the sort of full Cambridge experience. Like any other MPhil program that is offered in this department, the MSc in International Relations is probably most distinctive for its multidisciplinary approach to international politics. So teaching of IR in this program will take the form of lectures and seminars on theory, on politics, on history, on international law, international security, and also various regional and area studies. So we have a very broad approach, and you'll have quite a wide range of choice. You'll also spend a good amount of time in your second year. I'll run down the sort of chronological structure of the course in a second, but in the second year, you'll also spend quite a lot of time in one-on-one supervisions or conversations with your dissertation supervisor, who will be an expert in whatever subject area that you're choosing to focus on for your independent research. So who is the course designed for? Well, it's designed for professionals from any sector really, but typically, for example, industry, business, government, civil service, NGOs, IOs. We get students from really all over. We do also accept applications from students that have recently finished their first degree and wish to pursue further graduate studies, but want to do that alongside a professional career. But those are probably more in a minority. I'd say that the majority of students that come to through the course have spent at least some years out of an educational setting in a professional career and are coming back to acquire further academic skills and knowledge. A background in IR and politics, international law, history, these would all be useful for you and would give you a little bit of a head start on the course, but none of those are a requirement. Might be an advantage, not a requirement. We welcome applications from students from all backgrounds. So let me just really briefly outline the structure before I hand over to Jason to talk a bit about admissions criteria and how you really go about applying, and then we can open it to Q&A. So in the first year is really dedicated to teaching. That's where the taught courses all are delivered, and you will start by taking what we call a core course, a foundational kind of what is this all about course in international relations, which consists of 3 different modules, one in theory, one in security, and one in international organizations. Once you've got those under your belt and feel a little bit more comfortable with what it's like to do international relations in a university setting, you then get to select 3 further course options from a long list of modules. It's a list that's online. I can't remember everything we're offering for the next cohorts off the top of my head, but certainly there will be options such as international constitutional law, global capitalism in the Anthropocene, Africa decolonization and technology. There'll be European politics, I hope, Julie, yeah?
I've been put on the website, so I guess so. I think that means I exist.
Yeah, absolutely. IR theory and the Russian invasion of Ukraine, law and politics of China and the developing world, and so on. I think we have about 15 different modules on there for you to choose from. And as I said, you'll be doing 3 of those. So in that first year, all this will be done, all this material will be taught, imparted to you in 4 residential blocks, but really you'll be working hard all year round. You'll be working when you're here in the residentials, but you will also be working from home, and you'll have the occasional meetings online as well to touch base with your cohort or to check in with your supervisors. The second year is when you, where students who have successfully completed the first year will then write up a dissertation, 20,000 words. Sounds really long if you haven't written anything of that length before, but actually the usual problem for students, as we've heard this morning when everyone was doing their presentations on what they're going to write their dissertations about, is, oh shoot, I've only got roughly 20,000 words and I'm just not sure I'm going to fit everything in. But that is the challenge. You'll be doing your dissertation work, you're pursuing your research and the process of writing up your dissertation, working with an individual supervisor, an academic specialist in your chosen subfield. I think that's all I'm going to say right now, and then leave it to you to answer any questions that you might have, including obviously people who've joined us online, if I can figure out how to do that. But first, let me hand over to Jason to say a little bit about what we're really looking for in students applying.
Thank you, Meta. Thanks very much, everyone. Welcome both people in the room and online. As Meta said, my name is Jason Sharman. I've been at Cambridge for about 6 years and been involved in the MST degree for most of that time. So teaching on the core theory course that Meta has mentioned, as well as more specialized module on kind of corruption and money laundering and financial crime. And then I've also been involved in supervising students for dissertation, as Meta has mentioned. I step into a new bit of the MST in, I guess, officially a week's time with the start of the new term, the new academic year, as Meta has emphasized in terms of admissions. Rather than getting kind of chapter and verse, and I thought I'd mention just kind of 2 high-level principles for admissions. I think it's important sometimes that people can get a bit hung up on the details and miss the more important things that we're looking for, that not only make for a successful admissions process in the brute sense of getting in, but also a successful experience, an enjoyable experience of the degree. First off, as Meta, so probably 2 principles that we're looking for is really high-level analytical skills to start with, and secondly, an ability to juggle things. Obviously, by definition, people have got a lot going on, the minor detail of a full-time job, as well as a demanding academic program. So just to take the first of those, as Meta has said, there's no requirement to have kind of a previous degree in political science or international relations or law. But there is an expectation that people come in, that they enter the MST with fairly high-level analytical skills in terms of being both a consumer and a producer of knowledge. There's a lot of reading to be done, there's quite a lot of writing to be done. Now, these analytical skills could be developed in a first degree or in the workforce, and as Meta said, our students come from a whole range of public sector, private sector, third sector degrees. But I guess most usually people acquire these skills and we look for them in a combination of the work experience and then earlier university study. So what we're not teaching, we kind of, to use the cliche, there is a process of hitting the ground running. It is a rigorous degree in both the amount of information that students are expected to process and then be able to produce there. But there are many different ways that people can acquire those skills and get up to the level that we need. And this is so one of the 2 kind of principles that we look for in admission files. The second one, as I say, the big distinction between the MST and the other sorts of degrees that are done at Cambridge is that this part-time mode really imposes unique kind of challenges and, again, there is this kind of juggling function that students who are just students full-time don't have, okay? And as you can imagine, it's one thing saying, sure, I can do this, and then another thing putting it into practice when you've got some crisis at work in the very week that your essay is due, or that you have an exam, or that you've got a particular dissertation. Now, of course, this is a bit of crystal ball gazing